All right, it's Monday. Today, we're kind of going to do just like finishing touches on this broadcast mix that we've been working on. This is original by Zeal Church here in Nashville called So Good. We've just been working on building out like a broadcast template for live broadcasting your church service. We're almost at the end here, so we're kind of going to talk about just some final touches and like mix bus today. So yeah, let's get started. Here's kind of where we left off.
I'm walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves. You've been faithful, and I'm so grateful. How good you are, how good you've been, how good you're gonna be. You say the same.
Cool. So when we're talking about mix bus, yeah, I like top-down mixing. It's like where I'm just like working my way. I'm doing like the least amount on my mix bus and a little bit more on my buses and then a lot on my channels. But just to clarify too, doing this broadcast mix or a live mix setting, I kind of approach my mix bus a little bit at the beginning, but mostly at the end. So typically, if I get a mix in that's produced, the producers spent so much time getting their levels right, their sounds right, and the rough mixes sound great when they come to me. So I'm starting on the mix bus because I'm just going to start like shaping just tonally right there, kind of where we're sitting, because everything's there. Now in this live mix setting, I've got a lot of work to do before I'm even at a place where everything's balanced, and then I can even start thinking about my mix bus. So we did a couple things on the mix bus again because we worked on our balance at the beginning, but I've got to get all my editing and balancing done in a live recording setting. Now when we're live broadcasting, I don't have any editing I got to do, but I do have to make sure that my gain staging is good before I turn on my mix bus. So I'll always do my gain staging and just kind of like some general leveling, and then maybe like some tone shaping just to clean up my low end a little bit, and then I'll get my mix bus involved. So it's just a little bit different of the way of thinking versus when I'm just mixing a record that wasn't recorded live. So right now we've done all of our gain staging, we've done our processing, we've done our effects. And this last little stretch, we're talking like we're just chasing just like percentages, just like 1% better on this stuff. So I kind of listen through and, maybe I'll adjust some EQs and grab a few things here on these buses. So again, how we're funneling here is like my kicks are going to this kick bus, my snares are going to this snare bus, my toms are going to this tom bus, and then all of my drums, you can see here, they're going to this drum all bus. So if I muted this, I'd have no drums, just drums through my effects.
I'm walking on water as I'm singing now.
Okay, and it's the same with my bass. My bass is going to my bass all bus, keys are going to my keys all bus, so on and so forth. Now, all of these buses are going to my mix bus here. So that's the signal flow we're working on here. So now I can kind of start just generally shaping the all buses, right? So all of my drums come here. So now as I'm listening to it as a whole picture, I can start adjusting things like as my general drum bus. Now I can chase down things that are super specific, like in my kick drum, I'm still having this EQ issue. I'll still go to my kick drum EQ. But on my drum bus, I'm hearing just a little bit of just like build up kind of in this area or whatever. So I'll kind of chase that down when I'm listening to my drums here.
I'm walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves. I'm walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed.
I don't want to lose too much of that, so maybe I'll just make this dynamic just to be a little more subtle. So it's only taken out when certain of those big snare hits come.
I'm walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring
Now, like I said, I'm getting more and more subtle as I work my way this way in the mix. So as I get towards my mix bus, I'm not trying to do big moves. And if I need to do big moves, then I need to try to find where the problem's happening in my tracks over here. So yeah, just smaller moves. Now, a lot of times I have multiple guitars. Right now I only have one guitar, so I could do all the work on that one guitar, but I still just kind of do it this way because a lot of times we have two guitars. I like this PSP Vintage Warmer. Adds some nice vibe, and a little more mid-range here is what I'm doing here, so check this out.
I'm walking on water as I'm singing now with your.
Let me go somewhere where he's playing.
You're gonna be, that's right. 'Cause you stay the same, you never change. You've been so good to me.
Especially when I got multiple guitars and stuff going there, this will help me just kind of glue those guitars together. But I just like how this, just the harmonic thing that this thing does. And I'm adding a little bit of, what is this, 2.3K here. Check this out. I'll bring it in and out.
You're gonna be, that's right. 'Cause you stay the same, you never change. You've been so good to me. You've been singing out so good, that's right.
This kind of gets it to kind of poke through a little more where I want it to poke through. Dig that. On this tracks all. So tracks, especially in this setting where I'm just recording what the tracks rig is sending me, I don't really have control of the balances. I don't go too crazy with my EQ on it because there's so many different instruments happening. Like listen to what's happening in this tracks. I've got my percussion separated out and the bass separated out, but typically what I'm going to do here is I like to just like widen it out. So I'll do a mid-side EQ here. So this is a mid band, and I'm just kind of focusing where the vocal sits, and I'm just like pulling that out of the middle. So my vocal, it doesn't like muddy up or cloudy up the clarity of my vocal. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Check this out.
You're gonna be, that's right. 'Cause you stay the same, you never change. You've been so good to me. You've been singing out so good, that's right.
So I kind of feel like that's just kind of doing this to my vocal. I kind of feel like maybe it's getting a little cloudy and swallowed, and then when I pull it down, that mid band down, it kind of comes forward again. So I'm just trying to create a little more separation from my vocal here. And then because I'm doing mid-side stuff and I'm pulling the mids out there, it's giving me a little bit more stereo image on my tracks. Because like how EQ works, right? I could cut a bunch of low end, or I can boost a bunch of high end. It's kind of accomplishing the same thing. You're tonally rebalancing the sound. So that I can think of that with my stereo image as well. If I'm pulling a lot of mids out, that's gonna be like boosting my side. So it kind of gives me this like sense of width if I do that here. So just to increase that sense of width here, I'm just taking the sides and I'm just boosting the high end on the sides. Again, just try to give me some more stuff over here.
You're gonna be, that's right. 'Cause you stay the same, you never change. You've been so good to me. You've been singing out so good, that's right.
Kind of get my shakers to just kind of move this way a little bit more. Dig. Let's see what else we're doing. Okay, on like my vocal bus here, I might add just a Pultec. First of all, I just love how this thing sounds just on, especially on like on my mix bus sometimes. Just it on, it does this thing, it just like widens it out. It's so crazy and weird and voodoo, and I don't know, but I do love this plugin. Yeah, here I'm just again just little small things. Maybe it's just he's a little muddy, so I pull out some, dip out some of this 300 here. Maybe give him a little more clarity here at 4K. Of course, the Pultec trick of boosting and cutting at the same time, that's kind of like giving me a little more weight and then just carving out a little more after the weight. So that can be nice. And then this high band is just iconic. Like it's so good. Just opening up the high end of my vocal. So I'll pull this in and out here.
That's right. Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who...
I mean, that just bringing that vocal forward, opening it up, feels really nice and sweet. I dig that. Okay, so now we're on to the mix bus. What we had is we did in our saturation video, we talked about this. I got some tape saturation going on my plugin. I have some general EQ moves here. I'm just where we started. This was off. And this was off. Okay, where we started is I'm just kind of doing a smiley face thing. I'm just boosting the low end. I'm boosting the high end, and I'm filtering my low end, just shaping my low end. Like I said before, on these cuts, it doesn't mean that nothing below 33 hertz no longer exists. I'm just rolling it off starting at 33. So it's just shaping my low end here, and then I've got some super gentle compression going on here. And then this is like, just ignore this. This is how I'm getting to YouTube, my signal to YouTube. But that's kind of where we're at. So let's look at what these are doing. Here's the tape.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves. Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves. You've been faithful, and I'm so grateful. How good you are, how good you've been.
That's where I want my mix bus compression. That's what I mean by like being subtle. I don't want to over compress my mix bus. I'm just tickling these needles. And a lot of times too on compressors, you're getting compression before it's like showing you needles. Like you'll see compression on your like SSL channel strip before you're actually seeing a green light on the compression LEDs or the lights that are going. And then I'm smashing this just for our level here so that you can hear it and it's not quiet. So I'm adding quite a bit of level here just because I do my gain staging pretty soft. Remember, I'm hitting this VU meter probably around.
Walking on water as I'm singing now.
And I increased my headroom, so it's pretty quiet. If I turned all this stuff off, it's quiet. Let's turn this off.
Walking on water as I'm singing now.
See all this headroom I have? We're going to talk about limiting here in a second, so I'm going to come back to that. Now, I do like it. This Maag EQ is kind of magical. Sometimes I love it on like pop records, especially if I just need to get brighter. This 2.5K just like shelf is so sick. It's so dope. Listen to this.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down.
So I just have it a click, just give me a little more mid-range, a little more brightness. I love it. And then this 40 air band is like what this is known for, and it's like, well, what is up there? That's not even humanly possible to hear that. But check this out.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me.
I mean, there is no plugin you can boost that much high end and it doesn't like saw your head off. So it just kind of opens up the top end. Sometimes I dig, so I'll just do a little bit of that.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who said.
It's just giving me some different bands, different colors to paint with. So here's it on and off.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder.
I mean, I feel like that's a very drastic difference, and we're boosting half a dB. You know, that's crazy. And yeah, it's just really nice for how subtle you're being and how much that opens up my top end. It's worth its weight in gold. My mix bus changes all the time, and it's different based on what tools I have available to me. Now I'm doing some widening here, like on my mixes in my studio. I have an SSL Fusion, so I'll use like I really like the widening that has, but I'm just trying to kind of mimic that. So I'm just using the stereo width here, and maybe again boosting the top end just a little bit on the sides. So I'm just lifting the sides a little bit to just get me a little bit more out and over here. So this one's pretty subtle, but check this out.
Walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who's...
I guess I'm also using this mono maker because I'm using this width control and I don't want it to widen my low end. So this mono maker here, it's just everything below this is like being summed back to mono. So the widening isn't going to affect that stuff. So I just really want it up there. Just give me a little more image, a little more. You got to be careful with this because if I crank this, you start to get like some phasing stuff going on. So you really got to be careful with that. I'll just kind of demonstrate when it's over.
Walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going.
Yeah, see how my middle just doesn't exist anymore, it just falls out, and everything sounds like it's in a room now. It's just crazy. Obviously, this is crazy cranks, but you do want to be careful of that. Like I said, I'm just trying to be as subtle as possible, so I'll pull this in and out, and I just want to hear just a little thing. I'm just a little bit of seasoning. It's like finishing salt, you know? I don't want to over salt my steak. I just want a little finishing salt, you know? Give me that flaky salt on that chocolate chip cookie. That's what I'm looking for there.
Walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down.
And then now we're into the limiting conversation. This God particle, see it all over the internet. It's kind of cool. What I really like about this is just like targets. Sometimes I can just check to make sure that, you know, do I have too much low end? Do I have no low end? You know, I hate this high band. I never hit this target because if you're hitting this target for me, it's just like so bright. And I don't want it that bright. I'll kind of show you. You can like push into it with this, but I'm just using just this whatever mystery thing this is doing here. It's just kind of nice. It's just like, again, just this like just adding this je ne sais quoi, you know. It's just who knows what but it's cool, but I'm being subtle with it. I don't want to use it. I don't want to crank it. I'm just I'll pull it in out and check this out, and we'll kind of look at these targets and see how we're doing.
Walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves.
You're gonna have to use your own adjectives on what that's doing. I mean, how do you explain that? It's just sick. I don't know. It's really cool. And then I'm using just a little bit of limiting here. Again, with stuff like this, when I'm starting to squish, I don't have this isn't going to a mastering engineer, right? This is just going straight to YouTube. So I do need to get some smash going here to get more of a consistent level. Now, just like my compression on like my vocal or anything else like that, I don't want to get the job done with one plugin. I'm going to use multiple plugins. So I'm just going to start just lopping off just a couple dB. That was like 1.3 or something with my first limiter. So I've got a limiter here. It's just lopping off a little bit.
Walking on water as I'm singing now. With your hand upon me, I'm not going down.
Okay, and then on I'm going to switch over to here. On my final limiter or whatever, I'm using True Peak on this. I am bringing my output down to just 0.3 just so I'm not clipping anything. And this is a long conversation. There's so many debates on LUFS. Okay, Instagram. No. Spotify, YouTube, the conventional wisdom is they want you to send them something at minus 14 LUFS. I never send something at 14 LUFS. I've sent my songs to get mastered by big mastering engineers, and they don't send me my songs back at 14 LUFS. They're cranking it louder than that, because at 14 LUFS, you're not going to get like hardly any limiting. And we just like the sound of limiting nowadays. That's just how records are sounding and stuff. And I want my stuff loud and competitive, and especially on YouTube, I don't want people to have to like crank their volume all the way up, which you still have to, even when I deliver these LUFS loud. So I'm trying to, maybe my target's -9 in this world, but that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'll redo this.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves. You've been faithful, and I'm so grateful. How good you are, how good you've been, how good you're gonna be. You stay the same, you never change. You've been so kind to me. Come on and sing it out. For how good you are, how good you've been, how good you're gonna be. That's right. 'Cause you stay the same, you never change.
Yeah, I don't want to hear distortion. I don't want to hear it going crazy, but I am trying to get some level. Now I'll show you what are we at? 4. I'll show you what 14 LUFS looks like on this.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves.
I'm looking at, I've got a link CeeLo over here, and I'm looking at, I've got VU meters, and at 14 LUFS, I mean, these things, it's still so dynamic. It's just like, which is great. It's punchy. It's moving a lot, but I need to reduce that dynamic range, and I'm doing that with this. But like that's I'm taking off 0.5 when I'm at -14 LUFS, so I am gonna smash it a little bit, and it can be as controversial as you want it to be, but I want it to be louder. I mean, there's times masters are coming back to me at like -6 LUFS. So, and a lot of time I get rough mixes that are at like -7 LUFS already, and I have to compete with that. So that it is what it is, and I am trying to get more level, and I am trying to reduce my dynamic range to where my meters aren't. I don't want them to be pinned, but I don't want them doing this the entire time, because I am trying to mimic a mastering chain here for when it goes to YouTube in this setting of a broadcast mix. So that's what my limiter looks like. Here you go.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves. You've been faithful.
So let's see if we can kind of do this. I'll kind of splice the video so we can try to get a proper back-to-back. So here was our mix bus before.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves.
All right, and here's our mix bus after.
Walking on water as I'm singing now, with your hand upon me, I'm not going down. So bring on the thunder, bring on the waves. My eyes are fixed on the one who saves. You've been faithful, and I'm so grateful. How good you are, how good you've been, how good you're gonna be. You stay the same, you never change. You've been so kind to me. Come on and sing it out. For how good you are, how good you've been.
Yeah, so there's a kind of overview on the mix bus and finishing touches. My next video, let me know what we want to talk about. I can do this kind of thing and see how far we can get with stock plugins I'm thinking about. I think that my next video is probably going to be about drum samples and like how are we going to get to the next level if we have more resources like trigger and stuff like that. How can I what kind of things would I do to get this to the next level? And drums are a big focus on that. And so I'd talk about like samples and my thinking there, and maybe some more parallel compression on the vocal, but and like tuning with Melodyne. There's a bunch of things that I want to go over, and maybe take this to further down the line to like say we want to edit this and release this as a live recording. So that's kind of the direction that I'm thinking about going. Let me know what you think and what other questions you might have, and I'd love to talk about it. I'll see you next time.